The idea was that it was only the later generations that people started adding culture and sort of.
Yeah, basically what happens is, as we've said, you've got to understand history. There are cultural influences, external foreign influences that are coming in. Greek philosophy, by the way, has had a big impact on this. Greek philosophers like Aristotle and Plato, they disrespect women. They think men were far lower than women. Islam doesn't have anything like that, right? When that philosophy came in, and then the sects, that the Mu'tazila, and they started impacting, and Kalam came in, and theology came in, then Muslim minds were impacted, right? And they started doing this. And there were also political reasons, maybe that's why some of these changes happened. But anyway, I just want to mention a point about this. I think this is quite important. The Prophet ﷺ, the way he makes change isn't by raising barriers. The way he knows that the real change is the change of the hearts. The real change is the change of taqwa. And that's why in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Yeah? Tell the believing men that they should lower some of their gazes. And tell the believing women that they should do the same. Right? Allah doesn't say, men and women shouldn't see each other ever. Right? Keep them separate forever. Right? That doesn't do that. Allah is, the way of Allah subhanahu, the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to change what's inside people. That's the real change. If you raise physical barriers, it does not solve the problem. Believe me, water always has a way of finding itself around everything. Right? And some of these, and also another thing, that is that when you close the door to a halal, be careful, because you may be opening the door to a haram. That very often happens. In many countries like, some of the Gulf countries and some of the, Afghanistan, these places, homosexuality is rife. It's a massive, massive problem, right? I'm just saying that there are problems. Be natural. What I mean by be natural like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Be like him. Men and women, Aisha used to eat with the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aisha used to serve. This. Just bear that in mind. Like I said, trust in the Sharia of Allah. Don't trust in your minds. And taqwa is the real barrier. That is the real barrier. Okay. There are other hadiths like Rose being covered in cloaks, the door of the mosque. Aisha said, this cloaks one, sorry. Aisha radiallahu anha said that women used to attend Isha prayer and Fajr prayer, and they would not be known, wrapped in their garments, they would not be known because of the darkness. Yeah, because of the darkness. So there's so many hadith. These are all in the Sahih works, yeah? So many, and then there's two hadiths here. A woman, an African woman, belonging to some Arab tribe, accepted Islam. She had a tent in the mosque. She used to live in the mosque. This is in Bukhari, yeah? She used to visit us and talk, Aisha says. And when she had finished her talking, she would recite a poem. The day of the scarf was one of my Lord's miracles. With his grace, he rescued me from the disbelievers. That was her poetry, yeah? After a while, Aisha says, I asked her, what is the day of the scarf? What does it mean? What's his poetry mean? She said, as a young girl from the tribe that had enslaved me came out with a precious necklace. It fell from her. A bird flew away with it, thinking it was a piece of meat. So the bird takes the necklace, right? The girl's family now accuses this slave girl, and they torture her. And she said they even checked in my private parts. While they were standing around me and I was in my difficulty, the bird came, flew by, and dropped the necklace. They took it. I said, this is what you accused me over, and I was innocent of it. Right? So, but anyway, the point being that she had a tent in the mosque. So, and then another one, Fatima bint Qais, people were called to the prayer. I went with the people. I was in the front row of women that was just behind the men's row. I heard the Prophet ﷺ giving a speech on the minbar, saying the cousins of Tamim ad-Dari rode the sea for 40 days and 40 nights, and they ended up on an island, and they were met by a beast so hairy that you couldn't tell it's from his back. And they said, what are you? And he said, I'm the Jassasa, I'm the spy. And they said, and he said, come with me, let me take you to this man in the monastery. They saw a big man, he was chained up, curly hair, big. He said, what are you? He said, I'm the Dajjal. Right? That hadith, very famous, that hadith about the Jassasa, the spy. So, but this was narrated by who? A woman who heard it on the minbar of the Prophet ﷺ while she was in the mosque. If women weren't allowed in the mosque, we would have lost some of our religion. Right? We would have lost some of our religion. Do you know another thing, by the way? Never has there ever once been in our history an unreliable woman narrator. Never once. There is no such thing as an unreliable female narrator. Men, liars, you get the liars, you get the inaccurates, right? But women, there have never been that. Then women have never been liars, right? Never once. Every single woman narrator. My teacher's written a 57-volume work on women hadith narrators. He said he started off, he thought he might find 60 or 70 women hadith narrators. He found 7,000, 8,000. Then his teacher, Sheikh Al-Qardawi, said, look, stop now, you'll never finish. And I think he finished at 57 volumes. I think it may even be more than that, actually. But you can see the contribution of women through time. So the religion is being preserved because women are attending mosques. This is the barakah of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. If women weren't allowed, Fatima bint Qais would not have narrated this hadith of the Jassasa and the Dajjal. We would not have it, right? So Allah knows best. Don't interfere with Allah's religion has barakah. Okay. Now, also in a very clear hadith from Salim, from Abdullah ibn Umar, from the Prophet ﷺ, Bukhari and Muslim, لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله. Do not prevent women from going to the mosques. Very clear, verbal hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. Do not prevent women from going to the mosques. Okay?
You want the last hadith in volume 1.
Last hadith in volume 1. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much.
Are you sure that those guys who have those mosques prevented women from coming?
Well, you guys need to show this stuff. We're teaching this.
Well, this is not
Yeah. Yeah?
We don't have the problem, guys.
Let's continue with the evidence first.
Okay, let's continue. You can have lots and lots of question time. Okay. Now, so that's the Prophet ﷺ saying that. Don't stop your women from the mosque when they ask you permission to go there. This is in Muslim, this version, okay? Now this has a bit more detail, right? It's still sahih, just has some more detail. So Salim, the son of Abdullah ibn Umar, says that Salim, the son of Abdullah ibn Umar, says that Abdullah ibn Umar said that he heard the Prophet ﷺ saying this hadith, don't stop women from going to the mosques, okay? Salim's brother Bilal, yeah? When he heard his father say this, he said, by Allah, we will certainly stop them. We'll certainly stop them going. So imagine this, right? Abdullah ibn Umar is saying, Sahabi, right? Saying, Prophet said, don't stop your women from going to the mosque. Bilal, his son, saying, by Allah, we're going to stop them. Right? So what does Abdullah ibn Umar do? He turns to him and he abuses him vehemently. And Salim says, I've never heard him abusing anyone like that before. Never, ever. This is how angry he got. He was enraged. Right? Some versions say he slapped him. Some versions, say, I'm not sure how strong they are. Right? He said, I am informing you of something from the messenger of Allah, and you say, by Allah, we will certainly stop them. Right? Abdullah ibn Umar, he was known for his adherence to the sunnah. Right? He was known for that. So if you want to find out what's sunnah and what's not sunnah, look at Abdullah ibn Umar. Right? Look at what he does. Right? So he became very, very angry. Yeah? And so the other thing that you can see, that this urge to stop women from going to the mosque, it arose quite early. Right? It's arising almost, Abdullah ibn Umar dies in 73. So it's just before then. Yeah? Why people started banning? Well, it's a very late thing. I mean, what happens is, in my teacher's book, he traces the evolution of where the opinions change in the early period. In the early period, it never got to people prohibiting women from coming to the mosques. It never got to that. What it did get to at the time of Abu Hanifa and Malik was that they started saying that women's prayer at home is better. That's as far as they went. Even that is against the clear hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and what's clearly happening, as Ibn Hazm says. Right? He criticizes them very heavily on that. But what Sheikh Akram is saying is that the reasons why that happened at that time, well, there were some political situations which were making it dangerous for women. Right? From a kind of a safety point of view. Right? So he thinks it may have been those particular circumstances. Why does it develop into an actual prevention of women? Right? I'm not too sure exactly when that happens, but basically I suppose it's from the south, it's from the Indian subcontinent, right? That's where it generally comes from. So where has that come from? I don't know. I mean, obviously there's a lot of Hindu culture influence in India. That could be part of it. there we need to be, I don't know what I don't know is the answer really, where the prevention, when it came about, but their arguments I'll present. That's, I suppose that's what we can do. Now there's a hadith here, which is a variant of the hadith that we've just said. Now this variant is not in Bukhari, it's not in Muslim. So bear that in mind, okay? That's important for you guys to know. You've learned a bit of ulum al-hadith, right? Bear that in mind. It's in Abu Dawood. Abu Dawood says, لا تمنعوا ماء الله مساجد الله ولا يخرجن إلا تفيلات, right? That they should not go out except as tafilat, right? Now the question is, what is this tafilat, right? The reason I want to talk about this tafilat is because I was sent an email from the people in Barbados, and the people there were using some very kind of unfortunate language against women, using the words like kufr and feminists and, and all sorts of funny things, and they were saying that, look at this hadith, and this hadith says tafilat, and tafilat means foul smelling, right? They said tafilat means foul smelling, and women should not go out except foul smelling. And their argument basically is, although it wasn't in the article I think, or at least I didn't catch it, is that since women should only go out foul smelling, and that's what the Prophet ﷺ said, then that means they shouldn't go out, right? So the Prophet ﷺ is saying women shouldn't go out, right? You understand? You understand the progression of the argument, yeah? Okay.